This is Middle East Matters on France 24. I'm Hala Mohideen. Coming up in this week's show, amid the carnage and the violence, we meet the new journalist documenting the Syrian war. Mariam Saab takes us through what's trending online across the region. And holidays with a difference. The latest tourist hotspot is surprisingly the disputed Golan Heights. But first to Syria, where the ongoing carnage has prevented most news organisations from operating. In Aleppo in particular, where even hospitals are no longer operational, the challenge of reporting has never been greater, which is why ordinary Syrians from all walks of life are taking matters into their own hands, documenting their daily struggle through photography.
Basel is a law student. The lad is a leather salesman. They both dropped their career plans after the war erupted in their country, Syria.
Do you know where the explosion site is?
With bombings pounding their city, Aleppo, foreign journalists are gone. Instead of fleeing too, these civilians chose to stay, take pictures, do a reporter's job to show the world the horrors of the war.
I'd have no self-respect if I'd left. I had to stay to show what the people of Syria are enduring.
A bombing strikes a residential area, killing dozens of people. Like other Syrians, Basel has seen these types of attacks many times, but that doesn't make them less devastating.
What do I feel? 40 people were crushed under this building. It was destroyed by a rocket. White helmets are trying to evacuate the victims. Most of them are children.
The improvised war photographers take risks, hoping their pictures will make a difference, help bring more support to Syria. This man sustained an eye injury during a mission. When he arrived in France to be treated, he realized the pictures he risked his life for made no difference.
We filmed everything, me, my friends, other photographers. We've taken videos, pictures. We've shown them to the world. And no one has moved a finger.
Back in Syria, Basel continues to document every meaningful thing he sees. His goal is not only to alert people abroad, he also hopes that one day these pictures will help rebuild Aleppo as it was before the war, when it was a beautiful and prosperous city.
This lemon tree is still alive, like the old stones of this house. One day, everything will be rebuilt, here and across Syria.
Syria's new photographers don't just immortalize destruction. Many also see signs of hope, like this field where civilians grow their vegetables. Violence has blocked international aid, and residents here, whoever they are, have learned to take care of themselves.
To Turkey now, where mass protests over the weekend have forced the government to withdraw a proposal critics say legitimises child rape. The bill would have allowed men convicted of sex with a minor to avoid punishment if they married their victim. Well, the government says this is to correct the unfair situation facing many families where younger people are married in Islamic ceremonies. Critics have denounced the plan as an amnesty for the perpetrators of child rape. The government has withdrawn the bill from Parliament and instead is being submitted for review to a parliamentary committee. Time for something a little bit different now. Mariam Saab is joining us for a look at what's trending online across the region. And Mariam, we're going to be starting in Yemen, where conflict continues to rage between the Saudi-led coalition and the Houthi rebel movement. Now, a 48-hour ceasefire was not extended this week. And as with any conflict, activism in the arts is playing a role, isn't it?
Yes, the spotlight is on Bilal Al-Aghrabi. The singer took the leap from popular TV talent on the celebrity show Sharaj Star to the frontman of a movement. The shift came as the revolution broke out against then-President Ali Abdullah Saleh in 2011. Now, Aghrabi is one of the unofficial voices for the Yemeni popular resistance on the front line of a cultural war as they fight against Houthi rebels and their pro-Saleh allies in Taiz. His last title, You Scare Them, has been picked up as a popular rally cry, praising Taiz militia leader Hamoud al-Maklafi. Let's take a look at the clip.
Well, Mariam, just how much power does music yield as a tool for propaganda in these conflict situations?
Well, it's a very effective and friendly medium for transmitting a message to the masses and making it stick. Now, when the Houthis overran the capital, Sana'a, in September of 2014, they stormed the radio and television stations. There was a media blackout. They demanded that only Houthi songs and programs fill up the grid. Now, securing any kind of impartiality in the press is difficult in Yemen. There are dozens of TV channels and radio channels dedicated to promoting the cause and broadcasting the propaganda of the political group they're allied to.
OK, well, let's move to the US now, where actor Ashton Kutcher was confronted by a pro-Palestinian activist at a panel in LA on Saturday.
Yes, a bit of a hairy situation for Ashton Kutcher. It was at a conference for Airbnb, which is an online marketplace for people looking to list or rent residential properties. Now, Kutcher has a stake in the company, and he was one of its first investors. He was giving a talk alongside CEO Brian Chesky when a pro-Palestinian activist from Code Pink walked up onto the stage holding a sign which read Airbnb out of the settlements. She was referring to the fact that Airbnb is operational in Israeli settlements, allowing for them to list homes built on occupied Palestinian land for profit. Now, that moment was caught on tape. Take a look.
Let me explain to you something about what Airbnb means to me.
Let me first tell you what Airbnb is doing to
Well, you actually don't have the stage. So that's...
Ashton Kutcher since responded with his hope for a world without borders.
Well, that moment has since gone viral. Mariam, where do Airbnb and Code Pink stand now?
The activist has been identified as Ariel Gold, and she was interviewed by the New York Post. She says, quote, people should come before profit, so it's time to stop Airbnb from profiting from Israel's settlement enterprise and the human rights abuses Palestinians live under every day of their lives. Airbnb responded to the Post saying, we urge all hosts to provide accurate information about where their listing is located so guests know what to expect.
OK, let's round off this segment with a look at a Saudi Arabian campaign which is focused on freeing women from life under male guardianship.
Thousands of Saudis have put their weight behind an online petition demanding the government abolish the country's guardianship system. Now, under Saudi law, women need permission from a male relative before carrying out even the most fundamental tasks like getting married, travelling, renting an apartment, or even driving a car. In September, activists launched a campaign under the motto, I am my own guardian. It gained steam after a damning Human Rights Watch report was released over the summer describing the system as the most significant impediment to women's rights in the country. Now, illustrations by Australian-based artist Ms. Safa of a woman wearing the traditional male headdress have come to symbolise the campaign and empower women to continue to push it forward.
Definitely something to keep an eye on as that keeps trending across the region. Thank you very much for that. And France 24's Mariam Saab taking us through what's making the buzz online. Now, there's plenty to satisfy most holidaymakers in the Middle East. Luxury resorts, pristine beaches, historic treasures and adventure holidays for those who like to work up a sweat. But a new type of tourism is drawing increasing numbers of curious visitors. Tours which take you firsthand through the most politically charged regions, among them the Golan Heights.
Barbed wire and fences along the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. An unusual tourist trail for this group of Arab Israelis, just kilometers from the fighting in Syria. This territory was taken by Israel from its neighbor after the 1967 Six-Day War. Imad Mada has been organizing these unusual tours for 7 years.
Over time, with each generation, the collective memory fades. So one of her goals was to revive people's memories, not just residents of the Golan, but also those who live outside Palestine and foreigners who have no knowledge about the Golan before and after the Israeli occupation.
Next stop, the former headquarters of the Syrian army. Before 1967, Christians, Muslims, Druze and Circassians lived in this area, but most of them left for the Syrian-controlled territory during the war. Today, about 22,000 Druze and 25,000 Israelis live in the Israeli-controlled Golan.
The information we learn is entertaining and difficult at the same time. I never imagined visiting such a place. I know the Golan, but I could never have imagined that such a thing existed here. And until now, we only knew a few things. We're learning more and more.
Imad leads the group to the Hasbani River. It flows 40 kilometers into Lebanon and is a source of tension between Israel and its northern neighbor. In 2002, the dispute almost triggered a war. Before 1967, there were 250 villages in the Golan, but most have been destroyed. Only 5 remain, including Majd al-Shams. Imad's trips also boost local businesses. In between history lessons, his guests take a break to buy goods from local farmers.
And finally, if the Golan Heights still isn't your thing, perhaps we can tempt you with Bollywood. This first-of-its-kind theme park has burst onto the scene in the UAE, transporting the bright, colourful energy of Bollywood to the Gulf. It's all part of a bid to make the UAE a global tourism hub. And organisers hope that some 20 million visitors will pass through by 2020. And on that note, it's bye from me and the rest of the Middle East Matters team. We're back at the same time next week. See you then.